This is my third city in Germany, and I've only been here for 3 years. Sometimes you need to know why you are moving, and this one is very important. And what is the anchor for your move?
Hi, welcome to today's episode of A Couple of Things, a podcast about things. Today I have a guest, one of my very dear friends, and she's going to introduce herself. Welcome, Omotola. Introduce yourself.
Yay! Okay, thank you for having me, Lade. This is so interesting, and thank you for the work that you do. Your consistency is mind blowing. So
Oh,
well
thank you.
done, well done. My name is Omotola Jumbo, not Jalade Jumbo, and of course I'm Nigerian. I'm Lade's friend, and then what? Um, okay, so I'm Lade's friend, and then yes, we've been friends for a couple of I think over a year, but
Yeah, for
this is
my year.
about me. This is about me. A mom of one energetic 4 year old, and I
And very
live.
adorable. He's so cute.
Thank you. And I live in Berlin, Germany at the moment. And yes, I'm married and I'm into a lot of things. So if I start to unravel, you probably will not live here. So let's keep it short.
People
So
think that I do a lot of things, but compared to you, I don't do a lot of things.
So
All right,
sometimes I teach German, sometimes I'm into the business of fashion, and then sometimes I'm just a business consultant trying to get marketing for startup done. And yes, and I just enjoy meeting people and having fun.
nice. Okay. So how I always start this is what's on your mind today? What's on your mind today?
What's on my mind today? So today I'm thinking community.
Mm.
Thinking community. That's what's on my mind. And just before I came on this call, I was trying to plan like my month because this is going to be quite an eventful month. And I'm thinking of how I can get my community to support with my son and all the other demands, the new milestones that will be starting. So, yeah, that's the first thing that is on my mind today community.
Okay. So what about community is on your mind?
Hmm. So, first of all, I mean, before I even started thinking about community is a whole lot of things for me in terms of I would say maybe how I grew up as well. I saw that now I'm a mom, and then I started to think, how did my mom really do it, raising kids and going about her job, and probably doesn't even have as much what's it called amenities as I do now. Now there's there's phone, there's all this tech and everything, but still we cannot take away the real life demand that comes with it. She will cook, prepare meals and everything. And sometimes, yes, we had help, but I'm abroad now, there's no particular domestic help.
Yeah.
But how do I make this work? And besides, my mom had more than one of us, were three. I have just one, and I'm having to think and prepare and all of that. And to be honest, yes, maybe the demands of today life is also different, but it's still around the same routine. You cater for your loved ones. You want to grow your career, and you want to also have a sense of belonging,
Mm.
right? And not just sense of belonging, like you are just anyhow person. You want to look at communities from the sense of people who share your value, people who are reliable, people who you can connect with and they get your struggle, as well as support them, not just being the taker, but also being a giver to that community in a way that is relevant.
Mm.
So yeah, so for me, my mom had my auntie, my grandma, my neighbor, a supposed nanny who also was raising a child, then a daughter then. So it made sense for her to be able to assist my mom. It made sense for some people to be able to watch me when I was sick and she had to go to work and all of that. So, and then there were people who shared their values. There were people who could correct me when my mom was not there because they shared that kind of values. So those are the things about community for me.
That's interesting because I'm also thinking I don't have kids, but I'm also thinking about like growing up because my mom also had three children and she was working in a bank. And if you're working in a bank in Nigeria, you know what that's like. Like it was so bad that I was like, I'm never going to be a banker. I don't know what I want to do, but I know that I'm not going to be a banker. And she was always like coming for all our things in school, but she was also doing great at work. And I was like, how is this woman doing all these things? When I started my first official like going to the office job, I remember saying in the first month, I was like, what the heck is this? Like, how are people doing other things? You're going to the office every day, and then you're also going to cook, and you're going to like. When I came back from work, and I wasn't like I was traveling one long distance. My office was maybe 15 minutes from my house drive. Like if the road was, if travel weather was nice, Lagos weather is always nice, but when the weather is nice, it didn't rain and the roads were not messy, I could walk home. And I was so exhausted every day. I was like, how are people doing this? So I can't imagine with a child or with more than one child how that balance is like. What was that like for you? Like, how is your community without having additional help in terms of like being able to hire a nanny or domestic staff and all of those things? Where are you finding that additional support and community from?
Okay, so interestingly, and I think this is very important, especially for people who are abroad as well. Because we don't have access to that domestic help, you have to make use of what you have. If people are with their partners, very well. Please plan your task. Plan your task and then share it. There's nothing like, oh, this is duty for woman, this is duty for man and everything. There's the saying that says that teamwork makes the dream work, that kind
Mm,
of thing. So if you both have a desired goal in mind, then you should be able to split the work and then get it done. So for us now, we knew that, okay, yes, sometimes I can't drop my son at school, but when it comes to speed and getting things ready, it's easier for me to get him ready in the morning so I can dress him up and all of that. But my husband does the dropping off.
oh, nice.
So,
So
and then I think it's only harder when there's probably no car, which is something that you have to learn. That before we're like, no, the road is good and everything, there's connection and all of that. But you realize that if you don't have a car or your own private wheel of getting things done, you are stuck.
hmm,
You are stuck. It's tiring. So we just agreed that we're going to get the car, especially for these school runs, so you can
yeah.
drop him and pick him up. Because by the time I'm calculating the time of me going and coming back, I'm exhausted and I still have other things to do. So we thought about that, and then that's how we decided to make that work. And also just share the tax. If we want our house to be conducive, please, we'll share it. And there's nothing like this one is female, or there's nothing, what's it called? There's nothing demeaning about house chore. It's the house
Yeah.
you live in. So even if you were not married, right, you would have still done it.
Mm.
So that's what we decided to do. And then for us, that was working. So my first community is my husband.
I love that.
Community is my husband because we share the same responsibility and everything. So it's the first
Yeah.
thing. Then I started to look at, okay, beyond the fact that yes, he's a man, and then there are some things that are peculiar to women that you probably need that community for. And
Mm,
also, we are grown adults. My son also needs community of children that he can play with, right? And then which is also one of the things that influenced my decision, our decision of changing location. So this is my third sitting in Germany, and I've only been here for 3 years. Yes, 3 years.
wow.
So
This
I
is
was
in 3 years.
so the very last city, although it was nice, cheap, and everything, but I didn't have that community. We could not get things done. Imagine just I have an appointment. My son had to be at home, and my husband had the driving test. One of us had to cancel.
Yeah.
And it didn't make a lot of sense to continue like that. Then my son also, there was a time that we were trying to develop his social skill, but he didn't have so much connection with other children because we didn't have that community where there were other children that looked like him, or we didn't have so much friends that also had children in that city, or they were even far. So it wasn't something he could do regularly. It was probably something he would do once in 2 months to see other children and all of that. So we tried to move here, and then so far so good. The community has been really good around here. We have not only Nigerians, in short, from my balcony now, my son goes, he has an Indian friend. just the next door, the next
Yeah.
building. So they come to the balcony and they are saying hello to each other and all of that. They are playing, and of course, when the garden is ready, they will both go outside and have fun and all of that. And I've seen the improvement for him as well, interacting with other kids on a
Hmm.
daily basis. Even his
Yes.
speech in German, he speaks English quite alright, but in German is now more fluent because he has other kids that is relating with in German. So
That's really nice. Like, and I like what you said about like making the decision to move because moving is not easy, and having to move 3 times within 3 years, that's wild. But like, how are the moves for you? Like, when you move from the first city to the second city, what led? I know you talked about what led to the move from the second city to Berlin, where you're in now. But what led to that first move?
I think if we're even talking about move, just call me queen of transition because if I my marriage is about 5 years and I've moved like 5 times.
Wow.
So I'll backtrack, and I don't think it's just a thing with marriage for me. It's also a thing of lifestyle. So if there was something more nomadic, maybe I would have fallen into that category, right? So I remember just having to do my NYC, and I knew that I wasn't going to be in Lagos. By the way, NYC is something that people do in Nigeria after their undergrad. So I moved from Jos to Abeokuta, and then by the time I was getting married, I mean, I met my husband in Lagos. We thought we were going to be living in Lagos, right? Until the day he was proposing, he was transferred to another state in Nigeria.
Oh,
So it was transferred to Port Harcourt, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe not bad for a change of location. Let's try it. And then just when we're about a year, just before we're a year into marriage, he got this delegation to Germany, and then he had to. We were going to move, but I decided that I'll take it at my own pace. Especially because I was pregnant and I didn't want to come to a land or a nation where I didn't know anybody first. I don't even know how to speak their language, and I won't be able to get help with motherhood and everything. I think that is
yeah.
also very important to know that motherhood is not a journey for one person without help or even just the couple. Forget it. Olden days, it takes a village. I remember me just visiting aunties just to help them watch over their kids and the joy on their face. I was not giving
Yeah.
them money, but just to be able to watch over their babies or toddler was a real gift. So I just said, okay, you go ahead. And the COVID happened. I moved after I left the Port Harcourt. I moved back to Lagos. So that's about my second move again. I've already
Yeah. So it was just to Abeokuta, then Port Harcourt, then back to Lagos.
then back to Lagos. Then now I'm planning to come to Germany, and my husband's business or the companies that I was working with, the business unit was in Munich. So we moved to Munich, which is my favorite city out of the whole three cities I've lived
I think
in.
Munich is absolutely gorgeous. I've been there once. So
Yes,
beautiful.
and it's the most expensive. So maybe I just have expensive taste as well.
Yeah, and that's fine.
So yeah, Munich was the first one, and then by that time the his delegation was over, and then we needed to. It was being moved into another business unit, and we just needed to settle. I mean, the package of the delegation is sweet, but if you're already on local contract, your eye will open. Like Munich is really expensive. So yeah, and then he had the opportunity of moving to the headquarters of his new business unit, which was in a small city called Brunswick. So
Oh,
that's why we moved from Munich to Brunswick. But again, it was small. It was somebody said that compared to Munich, it's like a village, and I agree. And I agree. So yeah, that was the move. But I spent the last about was it over a year? No, actually about 2 years in Brunswick, which
and now you just moved to Berlin.
yeah,
Okay. Do you think you're going to move somewhere else again, or you're going to be here?
for now. Maybe after 5 years I can consider it, but for
Hmm.
now,
Nice, nice. So, in all your moving, because this is like 7 or 6 moves in 5 years or so, how have you stayed grounded, like, and not lost it? Because I feel like I would lose it if I was.
oh, interesting. That's an interesting question because if I was dating back to to my move. Sometimes you need to know why you are moving, and this
Mm.
one is very important. And what is the anchor for your move? And this is where I think I don't think I know that faith comes into play for me. Faith is very important in all my moving.
Yeah.
In all my moving, I don't even necessarily have to scream Jesus at you, but you know that this one you can it's not external, it's internal, sort of like it's you know how a ship has this anchor that you
Mm.
don't necessarily see but it's down there, so it's
Yeah.
helping the ship navigate and everything. So I feel like that has been a thing with all of my moving, even for NYS. I remember just as far I went to University of Lagos and everything. I've gotten all of the exposure. I even met Christ in the University of Lagos. So I've built my convictions. And I remember vividly that God was telling me, you know, you are not going to serve in Lagos. I'm like, it's okay. Because I mean, you need to have like records of your journey with God. I've seen how He told me things and they came to pass. So I know. So when He told me this one as a year 3 student,
Oh wow. You
as
aren't even thinking about NYC at that point.
this one is really fun because I tell people that I was in year 2 when I got my project topic.
Wow.
I was just literally in my room, and then some people came and were talking at at the end of it was end of year 2, and they were talking about different people's project and everything. I was just like, bring out your notepad. This is your project topic.
That's amazing.
So it was like that, and this was year 2, and this is where journaling also comes into play. I didn't even necessarily have a whole lot of fine journal, but I used to take notes on my phone. Then if my misses my phone, what is paying me is not the phone, it's the is the journal inside. It's the notes that I've written inside that is paining me. I remember my phone was missing one time, and as it was then BB. So I was able to recover the BB pin and then chat with the person. So I was just begging that, please, can you help me open the memo and just send it to my mail? You can take the phone, that kind of thing. So it was and then I started to back up my notes by the
Yeah.
phone. So from there, when God told me you're not going to serve in Lagos, I was like, okay, no problem. I thought that when he said that, it meant that I had other opportunity to choose. So I was like, okay, can I just go to Abuja? Can I just go to Abuja, and all of that? So I was already, not only did I choose to go to Abuja, I was already even processing where I want to serve in
Mm.
Abuja. And I was like, okay, it's not. I knew it was not. So I just chose Abuja. Then I was transferred to Plateau State, which is just
Mm-hmm.
when I got there. And because I knew that I didn't come here by myself, I knew that God, even though I wanted Abuja, but it didn't work, I still went there. And I got engaged in a lot of things. I might not do church as usual, but then I started blogging. I started writing everyday experience as the Lord gave me inspiration. I wrote things
Yeah.
about acceptance gives grace or something. There were things that when I look back that I did, I'm like, it was actually not just for the people that read it, but it was also serving as an anchor for me for the future days. So I wrote a lot. I preach and share, not like preach per se, come and give your life to Christ, but there were things that I would share sermons, I would
Yeah.
share, short notes, and people would be like, oh, man,
Exhortation, basically.
exhortation, that kind of thing. And then, of course, I didn't look like a deeper life or somebody, but it was just that courage that I knew that I was not here alone. God was with me and all of that. I got help. And by the time my people were still trying to reconcile my coming back to Lagos, somebody went to Abuja to go and see if that relocation could be done. By that time, I was already preparing to stay back.
Yeah.
Preparing to stay back, and then I got the relocation, and the closest to Lagos that my people got was Ogun State. And I remember just collecting, and the Lord was still saying, that Lagos, you must not stay.
No Lagos for you.
Not Lagos. And I was like, yeah, it's a good breather. I could go anywhere else. And start to see that sometimes you get so used to an environment that you don't see the possibilities
Somewhere else. That's so true.
somewhere else, and then you also don't see value to bring on to the table. Lagos seem like okay, it's a bubbling city and all of that. Sometimes people outside Lagos need a Lagosian who's exposed to help them through. So I decided to, move to Abeokuta. It's not Lagos still, right? So I
Yeah.
moved to Abeokuta and it was hard. And I think that it was hard for my parents, for my family to be like, why are we paying rent? Why are we doing this after all of the stress of relocation? And because it was almost like God ordained it, one of my friend's uncle had house in Abeokuta, a duplex provided for, duplex with inverter. I was living large as a copper.
For free?
I'm telling you, for free. There was a
Man.
facility manager, there was a washing machine, just name it. Even the gas I was using to cook was not refilled by myself. So, and
That
so
is so amazing.
I joined band, and from there I started to see that you see there were people who didn't have the opportunity I had attending University of Lagos in terms of business exposure and all of that. So I started to rewrite CV while also, doing my gospel thing. There was no way you would come near me and you don't know that I'm a Christian. I would dash you the presence of God for free. So over the moves as well as everywhere, so I started to see that there were always something about my move. It was almost like God will place me somewhere to deposit His presence with somebody,
Mm,
and then move. Once your job is done, you move.
it's
So
time
it
to
doesn't
move.
even matter whether it was 3 months, it was 6 months, it was 1 year, it was 2 years. So far, it has been accomplished. The move will happen. So I
Mm,
remember before, with all of this move, like I said, I always meet with somebody that I would leave that experience with. It could be prophetic experience, it could be just be word of knowledge, it could even be as simple as a book.
mm.
Just I thought this book would be nice for you. Somebody just said, Tola, that's very thoughtful. It changed my life. I'm like, well, it wasn't that deep, but yes. Then this very last city that I left as well. I remember I wanted to leave
After.
exactly 1 year after I'd done my German to B1. And I was like, what else are we looking for? It's just job. And let me just get the job and leave. But the job didn't come. And I
Mm,
remember just walking across the streets and I was like, God, are we not supposed to leave this place? I don't even have a church to attend,
mm.
right? And I was like, check your phone, Google Maps. And there was a church I'd been searching for church all a whole year, but there was a church about 15 minutes walk away from my
Wow.
house, and it was a temporary location for them, but I saw it, and that's how I met the church. I did whatever I wanted to do. But I see the Lord was like, you've not finished assignment here, you've
You
not
want to
deposited, you want to go where? So I started attending the church and everything, and to the glory of God, yes, I met somebody who I was able to like pass on the baton to, and today we still communicate, and she was like, oh, that experience was something for me and all of that. And then when it was time to leave, it was just like God said, tell me what you want in the
Hmm.
next location. And I said, I want just three things. I want a church close by, I want community, and I want career.
Nice.
I want people like, it's hard to get houses in Berlin, like 6 months to 1 year and all of that. Immediately, I made up my mind and I settled that. Under a month, I found an apartment.
Amazing.
So since then, so I don't think that the move in itself is not easy, but having the anchor and recognizing it is the most important thing for me.
Yeah. So like basically it's being grounded in faith and knowing that you're not just moving aimlessly. Like you have direction
Exactly, like the
because
God
God
of
is
your
the one
journey.
leading. Exactly. So yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
very helpful, definitely. And even for me, that I've only moved once. This is my only one one move from Lagos to Amsterdam. I think something that kept me sane, even in the times where I was like, "Hey, what am I doing here? Please, I want to go back to my mom's house." Is knowing that like I didn't just decide to come here, so this can be it.
yeah, true.
Yeah. So, how was learning German for you? Because I did learn German to like an extent, and German is very very hard. So, how was that for you? And now you're at C1, right?
Yes,
How did you get to C1 in like 2 years or 3 years?
in like 2 years, because I remember I started my AI in November 2021. Yeah, November 2021. And of
A1.
and by 2023, we're wrapping up C1. And to be honest, it wasn't like it was a goal. I never thought it was. I think the motivation for me was I need to get into the system. I wanted to get my life together. I wanted to work. And I didn't want the move to be an excuse that would stop me from aiming higher from, being myself and also trying to get a job for myself. Not necessarily, I know that some people are, but your husband is earning okay, why not? And all of that. But it brought a sense of fulfillment to me to be able to contribute to other things beyond even my home. So I said, okay, I wanted to get a job, but where I was, it was dominated by German speaking companies. One. Two, if I have a marketing background and we are going to do marketing in a land like this, you need
Yeah,
to
you have.
actually know your market. So that was one. But I think the most defining decision for me was when my son actually got into the daycare and they were speaking German.
Hmm.
It was it was hard. Not only was it hard for, I think the hardness was for my son because he was speaking some words. It was just a year plus, almost going to two, and then the speaking. It was speaking one word in English as per his age, but he got there. The guy just went mute.
And
Was
he
saying
just stopped talking.
and just stopped talking, and it was frustrating for me because I'm like, even if they are treating him well, I wouldn't know. If something is wrong, I wouldn't know. So immediately I got there, I was like, no, let's just do the German for sanity's sake. And then eventually, as I went through the 1 year and I finished the B1, I was like, it wasn't that bad after all. Because even that time,
Hmm.
I was still doing a lot of things in English. I was doing my master's in English. I think I wrote a book in English. So it was almost like passive learning. This language is not that hard. I didn't know that that was just an invitation. I knew that that was just an invitation, and maybe sometimes I will not despise the fact that some of us have gift or what's it called, more
Yeah.
tolerance to picking up language and all of that. So yes, I learned on the side, and then by the time I was looking for the job, that time I was saying I wanted to move, right. It was when I finished my B1, so I thought I had achieved and everything. So, but the job wasn't coming. I wasn't living in the city. And guess what? B2, the next level was free sponsored. So I was like,
Oh,
well,
nice.
rather than chilling and this job not forthcoming, let me just apply. If job comes, I will drop the B1, the B2 rather,
It's
for job. But the job never came until I finished that that course. And yes, I finished it, and irrespective of how tough it was with that B2 and everything, I felt like God also helped me. There was a grace. Because I just
yeah.
remember one day I was filled with gratitude just coming from my son's kindergarten. I could talk with the people freely and all of that. I was like, no, I literally knelt down the road to say, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. I think even a lot of my friends here in Netherlands, almost all of them only started learning Dutch when they had children because it's like now I definitely really need to learn this language. So that's very interesting and how you're able to learn everything. It's really nice to know that our lives are ordered by God and we don't have to try and figure everything out by ourselves. Yeah. Cool. We're almost at 30 minutes. So is there anything else you want to share?
I think if there's anything, it's just it's very important as human beings. It's not even just about location. We are sojourners in this life. We
Yeah.
are journeying from our mother's womb, different milestones and everything, and it's just always important for us to identify the God of our journey,
Mm.
and that God can be ambition. So that's
Mm.
when you see people when they lose their job or something, they are insane or they lose it because they've made something that is not tangible their anchor. And it's
Mm.
easy to get missing in all of the vibes, you change cities, different cultures and everything. But if you have God as your anchor, it changes everything. You can say things will fall into place. You can make a request and legitimately partner with God on your journey. So if there's anything anybody is going through, or you are changing location, or you are even getting married, because that's also a transition. It's a
A
journey. You're
transition, yeah.
changing a particular state to another status, right? And then it's easy to get missing in between. And sometimes it's even in the little things that changes the narrative. I remember having my son and posting on social media that yes, I'm a mom to an adorable child, but my name is still Omotola. It's as simple as putting it there. Because sometimes we forget that we are also somebody's child. God
Individuals,
is
yeah.
responsible to for us as individuals. That we forget it and we submit ourselves to the roles. We forget
Mm.
ourselves. And a lot of time when people now realize that, oh, I cannot define my life, I cannot have an anchor without this attachment for my role as a mom, as a wife, you start to see a lot of bitterness even for those roles. So it's very
Mm,
important. Let's make God our anchor, and it will fill us with joy beyond even just the roles and society label, so to speak.
mm, mm. That is so true. Like losing yourself in and a part of your identity and not seeing the whole of yourself. And it could be anything. Like it can be career, it can be your personal relationships, it can be marriage, it can be children, it can be anything. And then you
Even
become so
the parents,
yeah, it could be your parents as well. Like being
parents, very
you could become so
simple stuff.
subsumed into that one part. Did I use subsume correctly? I think I don't know, but you get what I mean. Into that like one part of your identity, ignoring the rest of it. That is so true.
Hmm.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast today. I
Thank you
really
so much for
enjoyed this
having me.
conversation. And as always, whenever I come on these calls, I never know what we're going to talk about. This was literally us just talking, and this is how all my podcast episodes are, even the guest ones. And so thank you, Omotola, for joining me today.
Thank
Do you want people to be able to find you online if they want to connect with you?
you. Sure, they can
Okay.
connect with me at on Instagram, the Omotola Jumbo.
Mm-hmm.
On Instagram. I think sorry, I have a YouTube page. It's not very active like Lade's own, but it has it's called Gracefully Living with Omotola. And I
Okay.
think that we transitioned into that after the blog that I used to do. I felt like it was also easier to connect with people by voice and also by video, just sharing my experience. So you can connect with me. Of course, it's sort of like my convictions and faith. So you can meet with me there. And then, yes, I wanted to correct something. You know, you're asking me, am I looking to move? But you occurred to me that I said maybe in 5 years, but who knows where
Who knows?
my God will say, go to. So it just occurred to me that you're saying 5 years. Have you ever been 5 years in a place before? But yes, but as the Lord pleases, and then yes. When
Cool. Nice. Thanks. Bye.
bye.
I will put the links to that you mentioned in the show notes as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of A Couple of Things. If you found anything insightful, interesting, or you enjoyed this episode, please do share and remember to like if you can wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave a comment, subscribe so you get the future episodes. Thanks. Before you go, this is a reminder that you can ask me to talk about a specific topic or answer a question that you have by filling the form in the show notes to submit your suggestion or question. Bye. Hi, welcome to today's